Hello, listener, and welcome to Book 5, Chapter 16 of Bite-Sized Tales, the audio flash fiction podcast. In today's story, we continue the serial story of The Burden of Protection. The Burden of Protection, Part 6, Seaside Escape. Written and read by Chris Hussey. In Part 5, Garret and Phrixus survived the temptatious visions of the Fallen Paladin Lenore Drache and completed the portion of their necessary ritual combining both Garret's blood and the blood from the spirit. Leaving the tower, the pair made a detour to the town of Camp Trollblood. On this journey, Phrixus revealed the accident which led to his red-pupiled eyes. Garret returned the favor by explaining the unsolved mystery behind his bleeding nose. In the town, the pair hope to find a safer journey to the portal Garret is sworn to protect and keep sealed. Garret is convinced he knows someone in the town who can help them reach the portal safely and sooner, hopefully using the ship that Garret revealed he is the proud owner of. The pair smelled the docks before coming into full view of them. While the salty scent of the sea mixed with the rotting fish, sweat, and waste permeated throughout all of Camp Trollblood, near the docks, it was magnified tenfold. They reached the edge of the rise descending to the shoreline and the water below. The muddy and rugged road switched back and forth down the hillside, dotted with a mishmash of homes, shops, and other businesses, all clamoring for attention and coin. The scene at the docks was chaos incarnate. Crewmen loading and unloading merchant vessels, either by hand or with the bleating complaints of pack animals. Musicians and minstrels led impromptu choirs of drunken sailors in song, while servers swayed and dodged their way through the crowded open-air taverns. Garret scanned the undulating waves of people, taking note of a small group of mercenaries on one end and the telltale robes and banners of some religious cult on the other. He didn't recognize the markings on the ragged flag they sported, but scrutinized it just in case. "Which vessel is yours?" Phrixus asked as he looked over the ships which easily numbered close to 20. Garret's gaze ran over the assembled boats until his eyes settled on a smaller vessel sandwiched between two larger ships. He pointed. "That nar there, betwixt those bloated merchant carracks. It once belonged to my uncle, but upon his disappearance it was bequeathed to me." "I didn't realize you were a sailor?" Garret laughed. "Oh, I am not. I can barely swim. I almost lost the vessel in a game of cards, but a well-played hand of pirate's fate not only saved me, but bought me the services of a captain who found herself without a helm." Phrixus considered the words as they rounded the corner of a switchback. The blending of songs, conversation, and general ruckus filled the air, but a particular howl of surprise and anger floated above the rest. "Wait, you won the services of a ship captain in a card game?" "Indeed." "And you can trust this person?" Phrixus did not hold back his concern. "I trust her enough," Garret smiled. "We connected on a number of levels. She's quite the interesting character." The mischievous tone in Garret's voice was obvious. The pair reached the bottom of the hill and commenced to snake a new path through the crowds and activity of the docks. The frenzy proved to be too much for Ronan, who gave a disapproving chirp before launching himself into the air for a clearer and safer view. "How will we find her?" Phrixus asked, looking helplessly through the sea of people, his red eyes both drawing attention and helping to provide a clearer path. He didn't even know who to look for. "Hopefully she'll be on the ship," Garret said, but at the end of his statement the growing shouts from earlier rose sharply, this time accentuated by a spark of activity. A sword blade rose high above a gathering of heads in a nearby roofless tavern. Flames erupted and danced across the blade's edge, forcing bodies to move away like waves from a pebble's drop in water. The surrounding noise quickly quelled as the situation unfolded. "Or that may be her right there." Garret sighed in resignation as he watched the scene. The woman lowered and fanned the flaming blade back and forth. A quartet of other swarthy scoundrels moved with her, guarding her flanks. Garret pegged them as her crewmen. Her hair was messy and of a deep auburn. She wore a loose top intentionally cut to display her midriff and arms. Garret knew this was purposeful, in addition to being provocative. A tattoo of a dragon coiled around her waist, up under her shirt, continuing down her right arm. As Garret witnessed once before, the tattoo started to move on her body as if having a life of its own. The snout and eyes of the lizard slithered up over her shoulder, flashing brightly at the crowd, many of whom also had weapons drawn, considering their next move. In her left hand she held a pouch, the strings of which she worked to secure to her waistband. "Thank you, Gabriel, for the lovely game, but it is time for me and my crew to depart," she spoke to a bald and thickly bearded pirate. His cutlass drawn, he took a threatening step, his own crew behind him, ready to strike with their captain. Droplets of ale spewed forth from his beard as he shouted back, "You won't get away with this theft, Chandra!" She and her crew continued their backwards trek out of the tavern towards Garret's ship. "It appears that I am, Gabriel." Another step forward. "Mayhaps, but this crowd that should seize you for the thief you are will not be as forgiving as the open waters, nor my crew when we find you." "If," Chandra corrected, "and the gluttony still needs her sail mended, and lacking this," she shook the bag in her hand. It jingled with a heavy reminder of coins. "It may take some time." Gabriel's anger got the best of him, and he charged forward, his crew at his heels. Chandra responded by touching her flaming blade to the planks of the dock. She whispered some words, and the inky dragon slithered down her arm, its snout covering her hand. She opened it, as if to mimic the opening of the beast's mouth, releasing the blade, which magically held its position, the flames dancing on the edge. It gave the appearance to be the scorching breath of the dragon. The tattoo's eyes flashed once again, and the flames pushed forward, down and off the blade, forming into a miniature burning effigy of the tattoo. Wings of fire sprouted, and it puffed out a small breath of defiance at Gabriel and his men. The group slowed their pace, unsure of their safety. Chandra turned and with a flick of her head ordered her crew to follow. They raced toward Garret's ship. "That would be our cue as well." Garret looked toward Phrixus as he spurned his mount toward the vessel. The alchemists followed, as the duo used their shouts and the size of their mounts to clear a zigzag path towards the fleeing crew and Garret's gnar. Phrixus took a moment to look back toward the flaming dragon construct. Gabriel desperately swung at the beast, while his crew secured filled buckets from the sides of the docks. For its part, the dragon hissed and spat short bursts of flame from its mouth, sliding side to side, preventing the enraged pirates from making an easy exit. "We may not have a lot of time, Garret," the alchemist warned. "Wonderful. One crisis to the next, it would seem. Phrixus, I am blaming you for this." Garret laughed above the shouts and gallops. Chandra and her crew continued their foot race to the ship, dodging past some and forcing others out of the way. The boarding plank was now visible. Garret knew if he didn't get her attention, the ship would be away from the dock, and he wasn't sure if the horses could make the jump. "This may be more than I want to reveal about my past, but I need to get her attention," he thought to himself before he shouted. "Wait for me, my auburn flame!" Garret yelled at the top of his lungs. Chandra stutter-stepped, turning toward the shout. She saw Garret and another, mounted and racing toward them as fast as the crowded docks would allow. "Garret Westdown?" she shouted back. "What by all the hells are you doing here?" She came to a stop as her crew raced past and boarded the vessel. Shouts of rage came from behind her as Gabriel and his crew pushed past the last puff of steam of the now dead flame dragon. "I came to check on my ship." "You best not have changed the name," Garret yelled back, the distance between them shrinking rapidly. "I also desire passage." Chandra smiled as she resumed her running toward the gnar. "What a lovely coincidence. We are about to set sail." The captain looked back toward the quickly closing Gabriel. "And right away," she added. With 3 great leaps, Chandra covered the plank, shouting orders to her crew that were already in progress. Garret pulled hard on the reins of his mount, cutting it around a sharp corner. The horse obeyed perfectly, keeping its footing and traversing the narrower plank, settling in the scooped bottom of the gnar. Phrixus offered a silent prayer as he gave his horse a gentle nudge to follow the leader, hoping it knew exactly what to do. He ended the prayer with a quick kiss to his necklace. Breathing a sigh of relief and a silent word of thanks, the mare did exactly as he'd hoped, settling in next to Garret's. With a snap, the unfurled sail caught the breeze, assisting the crewman's poles, pushing the ship clear of its dock and toward open waters. Chandra jumped to the ship's prow and gave a salute to the shouting Gabriel with her sword, while the dragon tattoo crawled around her torso, its face melding on top of the ship captain's. Its eyes overlaid with Chandra's and flashed once again. "Perhaps next time, Gabriel." The enraged, bearded captain answered her jest with several obscene arm gestures as the ship finally cleared the dock and made for open water. Turning, Chandra stepped toward Garret and Phrixus, sheathing her sword as the tattoo settled back into a new pose around her waist, becoming still. "I wasn't sure I would see you so soon." She reached Garret, slapping her hand across his backside. Garret smirked. "Chandra, this is my interesting traveling companion, Phrixus. He's an alchemist of amazing renown." "And he has demon eyes, I see," Chandra responded. "And you have a living tattoo, I see," Phrixus shot back. "Phrixus, this is Captain Chandra." Garret gestured wide to encompass the entirety of the Nar. "And welcome aboard the foul-mouthed Tane." Author's note. So in this story, of course, now we finally meet the third of the three characters that were originally created for this story, Chandra. In those notes, we have a couple of things that have manifested so far. When we built Chandra, the famous rebel, a dragon tattoo, unknown parents, which of course we obviously haven't got to yet either with the rebel, mercy, lust, and singing. Displayed a little bit of the lust there with the relationship with her and Garret, and an illegal weapon, which of course is going to be this flaming sword, which we'll probably learn a little bit more about as things go. Also, of course, the name of the ship was randomly generated from the cards as well. Anyway, we are now closing in on the end of the story, but I hope you're enjoying things as they're going along now that we have all three characters together, and thanks for listening. This chapter of Bite-Sized Tales has been brought to you under a Creative Commons Attribution, Non-Commercial, No Derivatives 4.0 International License. Intro and outro music is Fantasy Motion by Alexander Nakarada, provided under a Creative Commons 4.0 license. If you've enjoyed what you've heard today, we greatly appreciate reviews and recommendations to your friends. For more information about our authors, please visit bitesizedtales.com or follow us on Instagram at bite_size_tales or on Blue Sky at bitesizedtales.bsky.social. We look forward to reading to you next time.